Is Matthew Stafford back to Super Bowl form even though he threw 2 picks last week? That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. Let's get into it. All right, guys, it is game day. Make sure you guys check out my predictions and preview for this Rams vs. Bengals game. But before we get into that, we do have a good amount of time today. So I figured why not take a couple of minutes to talk about Matthew Stafford and how good he's looked this season. Guys, he's looked very good in this season, even though last game he did have 2 picks. Both of them were really not too much of his fault. Now, the second one, maybe he should have expected Van Jefferson to kind of drift up. But Van Jefferson, if he would have played that route correctly and how Matthew Stafford wanted him to, that wouldn't be a pick. And then the first one just bobbled off of Kyren Williams' hands. He doesn't blame Kyren Williams for it. There's really not too much blame to go around, just a kind of a freak thing that happened at this point. That wasn't a bad throw, though. Like the second one, a bit of a bad throw. First one, not really his fault. But Matthew Stafford has played very, very good, and his PFF grade shows for it. I believe he's the 6th graded quarterback in the NFL. But yeah, Matthew Stafford had one of the worst seasons of his career. It sucks that I was just, saying he's so good. But in 2022, throwing only 10 touchdown passes and 8 interceptions in 9 games. It was partly due to constant shuffling along that offensive line, but his elbow injury and lack of practice in the offseason certainly played a factor as well. The good news is that Stafford is fully healthy now, and he looks like the quarterback we saw in 2021. And that's what I've been saying. Matthew Stafford has looked very, very solid. In the first game, he might not have thrown a touchdown, but he threw for over 300 yards and had a very, very spectacular game. It just so happened that we got so close to the goal line that we, punched it in. But it looks like, the quarterback that we saw in 2021 when he led the Rams to a Super Bowl. It's only been 2 weeks, but Stafford has been excellent for the Rams despite throwing just 1 touchdown pass and 2 picks. Now, that's a very bad stat line, but really it's just because we have scored so many on the ground. One thing that's returned to his game is the aggressiveness he showed throughout his career in Detroit and with the Rams in 2021. Once again, Stafford is pushing the ball down the field and making big throws to his receivers rather than checking down and taking shorter passes. According to Next Gen Stats, Stafford ranks 9th in the NFL in intended air yards, which measures how far down the field quarterbacks throw on average. Last year, Stafford only had 6.7. This year is at 8.5, which is 8th best in the NFL. And you can see in the way that Stafford plays that he's trying to push the ball down the field. He's not just trying to, go down one by one, get to third down every drive. He's on first down, on second down, he is trying to get first downs, which is good to see. He's completing deep passes at a much higher rate as well. He's averaging 6.7 completed air yards per completion versus 4.7. In 2021, his rate was 6.8, so it's very similar. No quarterback in the NFL has attempted more quarterbacks than more throws that have traveled at least 10 yards down the field either. So Stafford is trying to push the narrative and push the ball down the field to his weapons in Puka as well as Tutu Atwell and Van Jefferson, but Van Jefferson is having too many drops and causing interceptions, but that's neither here nor there. His 31 attempts of 10 plus yards and his 7 attempts of 20 plus yards are tied for 6th most. Just look at his charts for the past 2 games, which just shows how aggressive he has been. So yeah, pretty much everything here has been, pretty good. Now these 2 interceptions, not that great, but we see a lot down the field, which is solid. It helps that Stafford is getting plenty of time in the pocket, and yeah, the offensive line actually playing well this year, especially in pass protection, not as much as in run protection, but he is able to allow routes to develop, and he's not in constant pressure like he was last year. Only 1 sack this year. This is all also without Cooper Kupp. While Cooper Kupp is, not a deep threat, other than just being wide open like he was against the Bucks and stuff, he does have the ability to stretch the field vertically down the seam because he's such a good route runner. Now, he's not Tutu Atwell fast, but he can get down the field. I will say that. Cooper Kupp, that is. Stafford looks comfortable and confident in the pocket, and the result is a far more efficient and explosive offense, and that's certainly encouraging to see, even even if it's just 2 games into the season. Now, one more thing I wanted to kind of talk about in this video, just before we get into the Bengals game tonight. Sean McVay says he's not worried about Van Jefferson's early struggles. Now, this has kind of been like, if Van Jefferson has been playing better, Stafford would look a lot better, considering he would have had a touchdown week 1 on that long throw to Van Jefferson. But he's off to a slow start, and I just kind of wanted to go over what Sean McVay said. We're talking about 2 games here. McVay said on the Coach McVay show, it's crazy that because those 2 guys have done so well that it means that someone else isn't. That's not how football works. You've got 17 games that are guaranteed, so we're fortunate to have 3 guys. He thought that Skoranek did well, and he thought DeMarcus came in and did a good job. And then you get Cooper back. The bottom line is we love Van Jefferson. He's got a good body of work. I'm not going to allow 2 games to dictate this certain feeling. Personally, I think he will at 4, though. So if Van Jefferson doesn't do good in the next 2 games and help Matthew Stafford out some more, personally, I think that means that he is going to be benched. He will probably play still, but I think he's going to be seeing a lot more of the bench than, say, Tutu or Puka. But that's just a personal thing that I think. But what do you guys think about this whole situation with Matthew Stafford, Van Jefferson, Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell? Are you feeling good about it? Once we get Cooper, are you feeling even better? Let me know in the comment section below. But other than that, that's going to be it. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.